Welcome back. The CDC and the County of San Diego are now recommending people mask up indoors.
Yeah, California state workers and healthcare employees now need to show vaccine proof or test weekly. So what does this mean for your workplace? Employment attorney Jamie Wright joining us now to break it all down. And I know we're talking about private, we're talking about public here. So why don't we just start with this, Jamie? How does the CDC's recommendation change private businesses? So what are the rights of these private business owners and the employees for private business?
So Governor Newsom has said that he's doing a first in the nation, and he's encouraging all businesses to fall in line with the idea of you have to either show proof of vaccination to enter and or agree to be tested weekly. I went to a place over the weekend that I frequent in my city, and sure enough, the security guard asked us for proof of vaccination, and that was at midnight because we were going out for a late night cocktail. So a lot of private businesses are following the first in the nation mandate that Governor Newsom has proclaimed.
How about public employees? What does this change for the public sector?
The public sector is going to be mandated to either get a vaccination and show proof of it in order to continue to come to work, or they're going to have to wear a mask indoors, and they're going to have to submit to weekly testing and or sometimes testing multiple times a week.
Who pays for that testing in the public sense? Is it the taxpayers? Is it the individual? How does that all work?
Yeah, I would have to see the collective bargaining agreement because most state workers are subject to union, and I suspect that the state will pay for the testing weekly that happens.
Yeah, we hear that the VA too is going to require vaccinations, or they have to be tested. What about federal agencies?
Probably likely the same thing. And without looking at the collective bargaining agreement, I can't say for sure, but I suspect because there's been a lot of statements by the union in the press that they will come in, there will be some negotiations surrounding who pays for it.
There's a lot of, when we cover these stories, we are talking about some companies are putting down a mandate where everyone's got to be vaccinated. We want to see the COVID card, where other companies are saying, look, there's HIPAA rules. We can't actually ask you about whether you're vaccinated or not. What are the differences between the companies and their stances on all of this?
It probably is just civil liberties. There are some people that believe very strongly that mandating vaccination goes against civil liberties and is quite frankly unconstitutional. And I think there's a strong argument for it. There's another segment that believes, if you are imposing danger upon the rest of society, your civil liberties are being trumped. And there's some argument for that under the Constitution as well. I think that really is the difference.
Jamie, let me ask you, and let me look ahead. There are tests going on for vaccines for children. What do you think is going to happen as far as there are a lot of parents out there who, yes, they want their kids to be vaccinated, but there are other parents who are saying, hey, we need like years and years of studies, and then schools are going to require these vaccinations, maybe, proof of vaccination for kids to go to school.
Yeah, I suspect that when we look in the year ahead or in the years ahead, there's going to be litigation, and ultimately the courts are going to have to make this decision. In places like California, as we've seen before, there have been vaccine mandates for children versus the anti-vaxxer movement and some legislation that's come from, the California State Assembly and State Senate. But I think it's going to be up to the courts to design a framework that's going to direct what happens next.
If there's someone that's vaccinated that feels like, look, I feel like I'm protected. I don't want to wear a mask when I go to work at 8-9 hours a day. But the owner of the company or the boss is saying, look, we want proof of vaccination. How do you handle like a discrepancy like that if anyone's going through that issue that's listening right now?
The first question has to be, do you have a qualified disability or a sincerely held religious belief? Beyond that, if it's just something personal, like don't want to wear a mask, you should really have HR handle that. But if the employer is requiring that you wear the mask, it's likely that you are going to have to just wear the mask, particularly if they're concerned about spread in the workplace.
Could proof of COVID vaccines and masks affect other workplace policies that we haven't covered?
It can. There could be ADA concerns. There could be religious freedom concerns. If it's not fairly applied to all workers, there could be some age discrimination concerns. Those are all very valid ones.
How much does a company need to worry about HIPAA violations and crossing that line?
Yeah, it just depends. You have to be very careful about asking for someone's vaccination status, say, in front of 10 or 15 other people. That could violate HIPAA. I think the best way to do it is just have HR have individuals provide proof of vaccination and make sure that the communications are private.
What about, like, we did a story in Montclair, California. There was, I think some of the city workers are being required to put stickers on their badges. Is there a HIPAA violation there?
Technically, there is, to be honest, but because of these mandates and because there hasn't been any injunction to stop it, and these are state workers, and the state can kind of compel them to do that, it's not. And I put that in air quotes, but actually it is.
Okay. Yeah, interesting stuff.
Well, we're learning all of this. This is all new. That's why we have so many questions for you, because we're actually asking
it is
what
an
our
ever new
viewers,
evolving landscape.
yeah, what our viewers are asking us. People want to know, because there's a lot of confusion.
In some cases, we're doing these reports, Jamie, and they differ from company to agency to public sector to private sector, and there's just so much out there. For people that want to get a grasp on it all, what is your advice? Is there a place they should go to? I mean, I know you've suggested talking to HR, but any other advice on where people can get answers?
It's going to be really hard if you want to go to one source, because depending on where you go, you have 50 signs on any door of any restaurant or any workplace. So I think the best thing to do is consult the CDC website, see what their latest mandate is, go to Cal OSHA's website. You'll have a good place to find. And then if you have questions, you can contact me or Twitter or Instagram or any social media, and I'm happy to direct you. But I think the real answer is it's unclear, because it's ever evolving.
Yeah, Jamie Wright, thank you so much for joining us. We're running out of time. It's always a pleasure. I'm sure this is not the last time we're going to be talking to you. Welcome to come on our show anytime. Thank you.
Thank you so much.